This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Matt, what was this article you were reading about? Real estate's on like a fire sale, or?
Well, they're saying that sellers are getting desperate, flipping in the United States real estate into a buyer's market.
Okay.
So, from your perspective, are sellers getting desperate?
I would not say desperate, but what we are seeing, so what happened in January of 25 is in many areas of the Sacramento market, twice the amount of homes came on the market in January 25 than what came on the market in January 24. And what's happening is sellers are frustrated. They've wanted to move maybe for years, but they haven't wanted to trade in their 2, 3, 4% interest rate for a 6 or a 7% interest rate. But families have grown. They can't handle the 2 stories anymore. They want to relocate, maybe retire. Like these life events, they can't wait any longer. And so what we saw in January was a massive uptick in inventory, and it has leveled off a little bit. So in February, from the numbers we have so far, curious to see what happens in March, but it's definitely edging in many zip codes out of a seller's market into a more neutral or even buyer's market. Like I was at a listing appointment yesterday, and there's 12 months of inventory on the market for that specific community. Like that's a lot. So the national average, anything over 6 months of inventory, it's typically into a buyer's market. Here in Sacramento, what we typically see is anything between 2 to 3 months moves you out of a seller's market into a more neutral market.
Okay.
So for us locally to have now 12 months of inventory in this specific area, that's definitely a buyer's market. That seller's going to have to be more competitive on pricing than they would have been last year. And so we're actually seeing prices, if they're not flattening, in many instances, going down.
According to this report, they're dropping by at least 2%. Are you seeing that sellers are dropping their prices by 2% at least?
So again, it depends on the area. That's the hard thing about when I look at the data. I'm looking at comps. I'm looking at things that have already happened.
Right.
I'm not looking at what's happening right now. What's happening right now are the pendings, but we don't get that information until they technically close. So from the data I can see, we were typically seeing home prices go for where they used to go for like 99, 100% of the sales price to list price. So if they were listed for, $1 million, they might sell for 990 or $1 million. Now they're selling for more like 970, 950.
Sure. Well, it's tough because like this article was saying, back in 21, I don't even know. I think maybe it was in 22 as well. We had all these bidding wars where you had all these Bay Area cash buyers coming in and getting way more than what it was listing for. Mm-hmm. And people were salivating like, oh my goodness, let's get ready. And so it's a little discouraging and disappointing that now we're here in 2025 and now it's the opposite where it's a buyer's market and buyers get to decide the deal.
In many instances. And so if you are... real estate's cyclical, stock market's cyclical. Like there's boom markets and there's bust markets. I'm not saying Sacramento's headed to a bust market, but what I am saying is if you're looking to sell your house and you are trying to compete with other homes, now your neighbors are on the market. It's not just your house standing out. So it's classic supply and demand. The more houses that are on the market, the more competition your home has. The more competition your home has, the nicer it has to look, the cleaner it has to be, the more upgrades it has to have, and the more competitive on pricing you're going to have to become. Or your neighbor's going to beat you out on pricing. And so what buyers are looking for right now is buyers are looking for a house that is move-in ready, all the major systems are working, and as long as you're move-in ready, clean, and realistic on price, homes are selling. If you're overpriced just a little bit, that house is sitting. So I hear from sellers all the time, hey, let's start high, and then we can work.
It's pretty funny.
And then we can work the price down. And I tell them, absolutely, that's certainly an option, but can I share with you why that's maybe not the best strategy right now? And they're always like, okay, sure, tell me why. Well, because you're willing to negotiate a lower price, but if nobody contacts us and wants to start that dialogue, there's nobody to negotiate with. So what happens is you list the price high, and then you're negotiating with yourself. And then it's a death by 1,000 cuts, and you start reducing the price. And then all of a sudden, you've been on the market for longer than normal for the average, for that neighborhood. The buyer sees this, a potential buyer, and they're going to submit a lowball offer. and you're going to negotiate, and you're going to end up negotiating lower than where you would have been if you would have priced it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so in today's market, you have to be priced right out of the gate, or you're just going to sit and that listing's going to grow stale.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what's the worst that can happen. You can always say no. Let's say you price it competitively or aggressively, and you get no offers. Then
you weren't priced competitively.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been even worse if you had priced it higher. Or let's say you get one offer. You can always say no if you don't want to go through with it. But I mean, best case scenario, you're getting multiple offers, and then you're getting more than what you had initially thought you would get for it.
And that's a great point. So if you get one offer in, though, I would strongly encourage you to try your best to make that first offer work. I'm not saying 100% of the time. That's why real estate, it's not a black and white, always this, never that. But many times that first offer is going to be, especially if you have no other offers on the table, that first offer is probably going to be your strongest offer. Now, if it's the first offer and then over the course of a weekend you have 3 or 4 offers come in, I'm not saying go with that first one, but if that's the only offer on the table, your first weekend on the market, do your best to negotiate with them. Don't try to scare them away. We have a client right now who she wanted a certain price for her home. We priced it competitively. She had multiple offers. She scared all of the offers away.
Really?
Because she countered every little thing against our advice. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're not even in contract yet. And she's already being this difficult to work with. We're just going to go look somewhere else. And so you got to be careful with that. I mean, that offer is a gift. It's potentially, this great thing that you're going to have a bunch of money in your bank account at the end of the day. It may not be as much as you hoped, but it'll be more than if you reject that offer and sit on the market another 3-4 weeks.
So, good point.
If you have any questions and want to learn how we help people sell houses faster and for more money and put more money in your bank account, just reach out to us. You can Google madeformorerealty.com. We're happy to meet with you.